Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and I'm once again joined by my friend Angel.
Hi, welcome back.
And we are back with our Port Charles segment for Time in a Bottle. We are on week 7, so I'll roll the credits and we'll jump right into it. Okay, so we open up with Karen and Frank are waiting for Cookie at Kelly's still.
Mm-hmm.
And Karen's mom, I put Karen's mom a lot because I couldn't remember her name. It's Rhonda, right?
Rhonda, yep.
Yeah, I remembered it like halfway through the week. I was like, oh. A lot of my notes are just Karen's mom, her mom. Rhonda walks in seemingly drunk because she was just like, hey, like I was like, are they doing something here?
Yeah, I when she walked in, I literally almost the same time as Karen was like, "Are you drunk?"
Cookie is also sitting at Kelly's, wondering where Frank is. Allison has gotten 25 grand from her grandmother, seemingly, and wants to give it back, but she wants to smell it first. So last week she had gotten a key to a locker, but it said don't tell Jamal. That's where we left off with that. Mm-hmm. So this is what was in the locker. Ariana flatlines, I guess, or she starts to have a seizure, like her butt, like I don't know, she was convulsed.
Yeah, I think she has a seizure.
And even other doctors try to resuscitate her or get her stabilized. Jack tries to convince Allison to keep the money and invest it in the bike shop / bakery / coffee shop, whatever it's supposed to be.
Cafe.
Cyber Cafe back then? Question mark.
Yeah, cybercafe.com is a good name for that.
She mentions she mentions the note to Jamal.
I know she mentions she mentions the money to Jamal at some point, but
oh no. Okay, I get it. Whatever. It wasn't. She mentions the note to Jack as Jamal walks in and asks what they're talking about. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I was typing too fast. Karen wants to know how many drinks her mom had. She says 1 or 2. I'm like, that feels like more than 1 or 2. That feels
like 1 or 2, yeah.
Or the bottle.
1 or 2 bottles.
Oh, I remembered her name because I put Rhonda. Rhonda thinks it was all the talk about her sister Caroline that dredged up all these old emotions, and she just couldn't deal with it. She says her and Caroline used to come to Kelly's all the time. We see Cookie take a fork and start carving her name, and then it fades to current day, and we see that it's the same windowsill, and her name is carved, and it looks old. A customer comes into the bike shop and distracts Jamal away from Jack and Allison. And Allison rationalizes that her keeping the money will be good for her and Jamal in their future, so how could it be wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Rhonda says it's her fault her sister died. Eve manages to stabilize Ariana, and Ian thanks her. Allison tells Jamal it was a bond of hers from her when she was a child that has cashed out.
Mm-hmm.
He's hesitant about the money, but she assures him it's all hers free and clear. Now, that was Gabby that was talking to Chris, right? After they stabilized Ariana, because her hair was straight, and I was like, oh, that seems random. They just straightened her hair for that.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, oh, Gabby. Gabby tells Chris Eve did a great job, and he says, yeah, she saved Ariana, but who's going to save her?
Now, about the whole Ariana situation, they were like, okay, yeah, she's great. She's awesome. Like, she's doing well. Awesome. And then she sees us again. I'm like, come on, Ariana. Like,
you're dramatic.
You're so dramatic. Come on, Ariana.
She's to me.
I was like, dude.
um, Ian finds Eve sitting alone, and he sits with her, and she cries in his arms. Now, I think I may have been busy, like, typing away, so I wasn't, like, fully paying attention. So basically, all I got, it was Rhonda says Caroline was hit by a car after school. Now, I heard that was she supposed to be, like, picking her up, but
So
Rhonda decided to, like, meet a boy or something, so she
yeah,
wasn't
she
there.
decided to meet somebody else. And how does she put it? And she, like, kind of, blew off. I was gonna
Caroline.
say Ariana. No, Karen. No, Caroline. I'm sorry, Caroline. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And she wound up. Carolyn wound up hanging out with friends, and then when she went to cross the street, that's when she got hit by the car.
Right. Okay. Which could be a root of why Rhonda drinks. Mm-hmm. Hence why she started drinking, thinking about it. Karen thinks Cookie. Oh, I don't know what I was trying to say. Oh, Karen and Frank. Frank became Drank, so that's why I was thinking drinking.
Drank. I mean,
Karen and Frank think Cookie is a no-show, and Karen takes Rhonda home. But we later find out she actually took her to an AA meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Cookie leaves 50 cents for her soda, which I was like, oh, wow, she paid for it. And that was a tip, 50 cents.
If only things were 50 cents now, soda were 50 cents.
I'm like, what's that like to just carry change around? And it pays for everything.
Yep. In the vending machine at my job, like the drinks are like $1.50.
They have they started installing vending machines at the train stations on Long Island, and everything's $2. A bag of chips is $2, a soda's $2, but it's the cans, it's not the bottle. I think the bottles are $3.
And then, as you know, I work in Philadelphia, so anything that's sugary is like boom, like raised up, everything like that. So other vending machines in Philadelphia, it's a whopping $3.75 for a soda.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
I don't want to think
about it. As Cookie's leaving Kelly's, we see the back of the head of a young Scotty, because she says hi to him.
And then you can hear Ken Schreiner was like, "Hey."
That's his voice? I wasn't sure.
That sounded like Ken Schreiner, yeah.
Frank notices Cookie's name carved in the window, and he said the windowsill, and he says it looks like it's been there for years. Rhonda is talking with her sponsor outside of, I guess, Karen's house or wherever she's living. And Frank tells Karen about the name carving. She thinks, great, another mystery. She can't handle like having to worry about her mom and now this Cookie situation, and she just wants to scream. Eve thinks Ian could be mad at her for giving Ariana the drug, but he isn't. He says she was right too, and he's proud of her. Ariana's
that spiral that he went through kind of just, it ended.
Yeah. Because it was, she had to be saved. So Ariana is awake and she wants to talk to Eve. Lucy finds Kevin at the bar at the PC Hotel, and they play strangers at the bar. Didn't she say her name was like Bobo or something?
Bobo. Oh my gosh, what was the last name she gave?
Bobo LaCroix or something. Leroy.
Bobo LaCroix, something like that.
The bartender can tell that they are playing. He actually thinks they're married, and gives their act a C+, B for effort.
B for effort. I never got a C.
And Lucy's like, she's never gotten a C+ in her life.
I never got a C+ in my life.
I was like, oh, is that a nod to her being a librarian back in the day?
Yes. That probably was.
Did you watch when she was a librarian?
Well, that was in the 80s, so
in the 80s.
I wouldn't have been able to watch it, but I did see clips. I was a literal either it came out when I don't know when I think she first came on 86, so I would have been a literal either not born yet or a baby when that came out. Plus my mom didn't watch GH, I don't think, so she was more
Yeah.
All My Children. But
I
I
would have
did,
been one depending on the month.
yeah, I did see clips, and she like Lynn Herring really did a good job with that, like because it was supposed to be like she's a librarian by day but like a sex pot by night.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So she always acted like this, like very like, erratic and like
she was more like as a librarian more like shy and mousy and like just what you expect a librarian to act like.
because I know like she eventually marries Alan, and so I was like, oh, she kind of becomes like a vixen, and I'm like, how does she go from librarian to vixen?
Yeah, that I don't know. I know she did leave the show for a time to play Liz. No, maybe this was after it. I don't know.
Maybe
She
okay.
was on days. She was on days for a little bit.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know if that was before or after she married Alan. And then I know after she married Alan, she got with that was when she became the surrogate for Dominique, and that's how Serena was born. And then she was with Scott, and then Scott left.
I love how we can't just say one thing because it always snowballs into like, and then this.
You kind of have to know the trajectory of Lucy.
You can't just say something. You have to like give a backstory, and then you're like.
But I know there's like a missing piece. There's something I'm missing with Lucy here, and if you can help me in the comments, I appreciate it.
Sorry, I got lost. Frank tries to help Karen blow off some steam to calm her down. She says smelling the liquor on Rhonda's breath reminded her of her childhood and playing mother to her mother. It worries her that she could fall off the wagon herself one day, and that she could possibly pass this on to her future daughter if she ever has a daughter or son.
Or son, yeah. That's why I was like, Karen, you don't exactly get to choose if you have a daughter or not. Yeah. I mean, I get like generationally, like yes, it's it's been like it's Rhonda, then Karen, then so she could be like, okay, I'll likely have a girl or something like that, but
yeah,
I'm not gonna say why that's not possible.
Eve says she can't listen to Ariana thank her when all she could do is wish that she would go back to wherever she came from or had never come to Port Charles.
Girl, same.
See, Ariana was kind of horrible because I feel like she was just kind of like sprinkled in throughout the week. She wasn't like full front like burner, so I could deal with that.
Yeah. I mean, this week she was fine.
When she flatlined, I'm like, oh, bye, girl.
Yeah, but then I was like, you know what? After previously in my mind, I was just like, girl, same.
While Kevin gets a hotel room, Lucy calls a lawyer to discuss Kevin's divorce. Karen tries to get Frank and Easy out of their relationship and tells him there's the door. But he assures her he's not leaving and that he loves her. And she says, right answer.
I like how he says, like, that thing with the handle.
It's funny. I think I was watching like classic GH, and this actor that plays Frank was on GH playing a different character, and I'm like,
yeah,
it's such a missed opportunity to have like the crossover with like, I guess the way Port Charles ends, which we won't spoil. You couldn't have Livy on Port Charles.
Yeah, because Chuck Pratt did say that like it would have been impossible. No, sorry, it was Guza. I don't know why I confused the two. I think it was a junior in their names. Guza said that it would have been impossible to implement the supernatural elements of Port Charles into GH at the time. So they basically pulled like a Knots Landing and were like, it never happened.
They could have did like there was a gas leak. And it was all
That's what. Yeah, that would have been perfect. There was a castle on the other side of Port Charles, and that's where everybody was acting crazy.
Right. Or on whatever floor of the hospital it was.
The 6th floor. Yep. Nobody goes to the 6th floor anymore.
Eve tells Ian ever since Ariana was attacked, things have been out of control. Ariana needs Ian by her side for strength. And Eve says she's taking herself off of Ariana's case. Ian tells her he will never love another woman in his life. And she says she's going to hold him to that, and he leaves her. Jamal is struggling with how much of the 25 grand Allison has spent on the cafe supplies. He can't believe she's down to zero.
Well, not really.
She's like, well, not really down to zero. She's like, we actually owe 200, so they're negative 200. And she actually says that they got these like as a steal, like on the auction, and she's still negative $200. A lot to be negative, I guess, when you're first starting out a business.
Yeah.
Ian tells Karen that he and Eve broke up. Kevin finds Eve dining alone at the Port Charles Hotel. Allison is going to the hospital to visit her grandmother and to thank her for the money. And she whispers to Jack not to tell Livy how she got the money or about the note. Eve fills Kevin in on everything with from Ariana to Ian breaking up with her to her near death, and to herself taking herself off the case. She's thankful she still has Kevin to lean on, and Lucy overhears this, and she second guesses the whole like lawyer divorce consult. She tries to call to cancel the consult, but she's too late. Livy tells Jack she got into the pre-med program just in time for the third quarter, and I'm like, I really don't remember going to pre-med school.
I don't remember this either.
I feel like something must happen, or they just never mentioned it again.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And then third quarter, like I'm trying to think. I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think that's how school works.
I don't think that's how. I mean, yes, like below college that works. But that works because you can if you move or something like that and you enroll your child to another school in the third quarter, yes, you can do that. But if it's something like college, you have to wait until the next semester. If I know a lot of colleges do, I know my college does accelerated programming. So if you just happen to find your way towards an accelerated course, you can just start in the middle of a semester, in an accelerated course. But that's not how college works. I swear that these writers went to college.
I had a friend that did a nursing program, and it was 10 weeks, an accelerated course. It was 10 weeks, and then she had a week off, and there was another 10 weeks, and then she had a week off. It was just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And I think she finished it in a year or two. It was how long the length was, it was cut in half because she was just going. Exhausted.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Where am I? Oh. Allison thanks her grandmother in a vague way for the money, and the grandmother's just like, "Oh, okay, that's nice." And she says I'm gonna pay it back, and she's like, "Of course you are. You're a Barrington." It's just they're kind of talking around each other. And Allison leaves and says she's gonna check on her later. When she leaves, Amanda asks Terrence if she gave Allison money, and he says no. She simply reinstated her in the will.
Oh. So I was 5% right.
Because last week we around the time Allison got the key to the locker, there was a scene where Amanda said, "I need you to do something for me." So this is the answer to that scene.
That's the answer to that. Yeah. So who gave her the money?
Karen thinks Ian needs a break from Ariana, and he mentioned he used to play chess with his sister. Karen thinks maybe he should start playing again. She says she'll keep an eye on Ariana, and he opens his wallet to a picture of his sister. Lucy intercepts the lawyer, or so she thinks. And he thinks that she's a prostitute.
That scene was really funny. It's like, no, I'm not a prostitute. I don't even think she even says the word prostitute. I think it's no, maybe she does.
She says hooker.
She says hooker. She does say, yeah.
The real lawyer approaches Kevin and Eve and introduces himself as Richard Silver, and that he's there for a consult on their divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Karen is trying to get in touch with Ariana's parents because she needs a blood match, I guess, for the donor.
Mm-hmm.
And family's usually a better match. She ends up getting her father on the phone. Ian is home and he takes out an old chess set and a bottle of whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
And we see his like fantasy or illusion of his sister playing with him.
Played by Susan Haskell.
Oh, that was Susan Haskell?
That was Susan Haskell, yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
His real life wife.
His real life wife, yep.
Maybe I don't know what Susan Haskell looks like.
You never watched All My Children, One Life to Live?
Or maybe I do, because I did think she looks familiar, and in my head I'm like, oh, maybe she just like pops in throughout all the arcs and visits him.
Nope, that's Susan Haskell.
Maybe that's why she looked familiar. What is this? Oh, I put he imagines playing chess and he talks to her. He became Heather. I must have been typing really fast because all these words got jumbled.
Heather talked to.
Heather.
Who's Heather? I don't even think there is a character named Heather on this show.
Eve is shocked and thinks Kevin arranged the meeting with the divorce lawyer. Lucy fesses up that she was the one that called him. I actually felt bad for Lucy because she was genuinely like sorry for Eve and like
yeah.
Oh my God, they have these like moments where like they're civil and like she's trying to do the right thing, but then they just argue because they just have this rivalry.
Uh-huh.
Which I also enjoy. It's like frustrating, but I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Ariana's father is refusing to be tested and has forbidden the family from helping Ariana. Karen is angry and can't believe he doesn't want to help his own daughter.
I will be too.
Ian is talking to his dead sister and says he has nobody else to talk to. I really didn't take notes on that whole conversation because I'm just like, this is all fake. Like,
yeah, it's like, I like that she said, "Oh, you don't have anybody to talk to all over the fair, fair town of
Port Charles."
Implying that there are two shows that focus on the one city. Okay, maybe that's my interpretation, but
Susan Haskell doesn't have an accent, right? She just
she doesn't.
Okay,
she doesn't. Yeah, when she played Marty, Marty. Oh my gosh, Marty. Marty was definitely American. So.
Okay. I have seen Susan Haskell because I've watched old clips of the Ryan Phillippe's gay storyline, and she looked like she was like a teenager, maybe early 20s.
She was. Yep.
Yeah.
That was before the Todd. Famous Todd and Marty story. I don't want to say the word that happens to her because it's uncomfortable, but like
if you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. Yep. And she did an excellent job with that story too.
Yeah, I think she was still kind of a mean girl back then. She wasn't like the heroine that everybody remembers.
And, basically turned her whole life around, and then after that whole story, that's when she met Patrick Dornhart. So
played by her husband.
Her husband, yep. I don't know why I did the quotes like they are not really married.
Ian never made an appearance on One Life to Live. They just created the role.
Ian, yeah, I think they just created that role for Port Charles. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
Ian ever appeared on One Life to Live, and Patrick never appeared on Port Charles.
And they never like mentioned that they had a brother.
I don't think so.
That's interesting.
And he never mentioned, and Patrick, I don't think mentioned he ever had a sister either. So
after
but
Lucy,
then he also mentioned that, like, in the conversation that, like, or maybe it was with Ariana later, that like his family was like kind of broken up by Granada or Granada or Grania or Green Sleeves dying. Gariana, that's her name, Gariana.
After Lucy explains it was all her doing, Kevin and Eve discuss actually getting their divorce started. Eve asked him if she could get that set something up, and they hug and she leaves. And Lucy sends him a note from the bar apologizing.
Mm-hmm.
Frank messages Cookie that he was at Kelly's, and where was she? Cookie says she was there and was sitting by the window. He says he knows she's lying because he was sitting by the window. She says that's impossible because they wouldn't have missed each other. He wants to know what kind of game she's playing because he's sick of it. I put Chris gives Eve a back rub. That was actually a nice friend scene, even though I was like, this feels like an HR issue, giving back rubs at a place of business, but okay.
Yeah. What did he say his title was? He said in these episodes, Chief
Head of surgery or something.
Oh man, I figured I knew his title. I was like, yes, I know his title now, and then it just escaped me. Escape the titles.
He was like, he mentions Ariana's whole incident and how you told basically your superior to shut up. Cookie says she can prove she was there and says she scratched her name in the windowsill. Frank says he saw it, but it looked like it had been there for years, not just done last night. She says she was bored of she said she was bored because all that was on the radio was the stupid Watergate news. I put he basically spoils the outcome of that.
Yeah. It's like, no, that's no, this is what happened. You don't need to
know. He asked what year she's living in, and she says 1973.
Which would be 50 years ago this year, right?
Yeah.
No, 60. 50 or 60.
50.
I'm forgetting. Yeah, 50.
Wow.
Wow.
You remember when we say the 70s was 20 years ago?
Yeah, I was going to say that. I was like, I feel like this was 20 years ago.
It's almost like that meme I've seen when people born in the 2000s say they're in their 20s, which is impossible because I was born in the 80s and I'm in my 20s.
Oh, wait, I'm not.
Or the other meme, when people say 20 years ago, and we're like, yes, the 1970s. Chris,
which that would have been the actual 20 years ago would have been the 1970s. And
no, it would have been 81.
No, I'm talking about in 2001 when this premiered.
Yeah, it would have been 81.
Yeah, 81. Yep. Yeah.
25 would have brought us into the 70s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It would have been 25 years ago. Yep.
Yeah.
So they literally mentioned in these episodes too.
Eve falls asleep, and Chris says she's always falling asleep on me. Every time he's trying to make a move, she falls.
Poor Chris. I like that they emphasize Nolan North's comedic timing in these episodes, and he's not a creep anymore. Yeah. I mean, I still don't fuck with Chris, but Nolan North, he's awesome. Except for what he said about daytime soaps, we'll just forget about that. So,
I enjoy his scenes with Eve because he's like semi-normal when he's with her.
Yeah.
Um, Ian walks in and finds her asleep and lays a blanket on her. Frank pulls out a history book and questions Cookie on what would be her current events. She once again says it's 1973, and he says it's 2001. And to stop this, she says she's glad he stood her up because he's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And Karen is seen with a needle in her hand, and it looks like she's about ready to take drugs, which I felt like wasn't the case. I knew
It wasn't
correct.
Yeah, I kind of figured it was for what what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was testing something, but did we skip the part with Karen and Chris, or is that later?
Karen and Chris.
So they were at like a computer, and she was and this is how we came to the conclusion that Karen is testing. Okay, so when Chris said like maybe you should go to NA, and she's like, what, like for recovering alcoholics to get help? And I'm like, of course. Like, what do you mean, Karen? like NA's perfect for that. Like, it's a support group. Like, what are you talking about? Or just if you don't want to go through like the 12 steps, there are other support groups that you can go. I'm sure there are other support groups you can go to that are not NA or AA or anything like that. So
yeah, this just speaks to like, I guess, my ignorance back when I was younger. But I used to get so angry when Brady. They would say Brady fell off the wagon because he was drinking, and I used to be like, that wasn't his issue; it was drugs. But then sober is sober. You're not supposed to be attributed. I understand that now, but back then I used to be like, that wasn't his vice. But it's basically you're just trading one vice for another. So it's sober. You're like alcohol, drugs. Like you just have to be sober. So either would have been helpful. NA, AA, any of the A's like would have like helped.
Any of the A's, like just like a support group.
Just I know support of other people that are going through the same thing.
Yeah, because then you get a sponsor, and because like I know like on Days of Our Lives, everybody is a sponsor for everybody.
Maggie's the sponsor of half the town. It's not anonymous.
Maggie's the sponsor for half the town. Yep, she's the sponsor for Jennifer. She's the sponsor for Brady. She's the sponsor for Lucas. She's the sponsor for everybody.
Right.
It could be overwhelming, Aunt Maggie.
Who's Maggie's sponsor? Do we know?
Who's Maggie? Yeah, who is Maggie's sponsor? Is anybody that we know?
Where am I? Okay. So my first note for the final episode of the week is because I just couldn't pay attention. The thong song was on. So
yes, I was about to say.
Aired on ABC. It was not.
Yes, this is an ABC episode. Wherever they were taping it from, ABC. Yes. Thank you.
Even though we kind of track this, I kind of wanted to see the SoapNet version just to see if they switched it out.
I did too. I was like, what are they going to switch it out with? Like, booty, 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 booty.
I literally was like, wait a minute. I hear Cisco. What's happening? And this wasn't even like a new song at the time. It was like a year or two old, I feel like. I was like, some old white guy was like, we'll put the thong song on. That's hip.
Put the thong song on, okay. I like it when the booty go. Baby, make that booty go. And this episode wasn't directed by Albert Lord. Was it Anthony Marina? I forgot. I forgot. You know what? It would have made sense if it was Anthony Marina.
I am enjoying your stills when it says directed by him, and it's like people making like shady faces.
They have the weirdest. They have like the weirdest like paused faces on those like credits. It's so much fun. I can't wait until this week. Watch the one from My Birthday will be directed by Albert Alar. Watch, just watch. It's gonna happen. Like that's just how.
You're gonna be like, "Fuck you" for retroactively ruining my birthday.
Even though I was at school at the time, I'm so sure I was at school.
All right, so let's move past the thong song.
Yeah.
Frank can't believe Cookie thinks that it's really 1973. He says that. He says that Nellie shouldn't be working and he shouldn't be able to communicate with her through it because it's unplugged and.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was called. I feel like you did last week, but he basically took the heart out of the computer and like gave it
CPU.
to
Yeah.
um
And then in the
people,
promos, like when he like they kind of like put this like effect where he was like when he's like, I don't understand what's going on. And then in the promos they did like this like weird effect, which I wish was in the episode.
yeah,
But
like,
like
almost
that
like,
wouldn't have made sense either, because I thought they were like, oh my gosh, like is he gonna like drink or something like that? Is he gonna think that like is it gonna drive him crazy? Like
yeah, that's what it looks like in the promos.
mm-hmm.
I feel like they had to like rework the promos because he was supposed to like not see Cookie last week, but
Uh-huh.
there was like a news interruption. But I almost feel like maybe it was a planned preemption because the date when he was questioning Cookie and he asked her what date it was, she said April 19th, and it was April 19th, the episode. So I'm like, did they re-edit it and shift things around really
Yeah, that's
quick?
what I'm thinking.
I don't know. Frank calls Victor to meet him at Kelly's with some machine that he had.
I didn't think Victor was this crafty, but I thought he was a Toastmaster. Like,
Ariana has been reading information on donor transplants. She says she knows a family is the best bet, and she says she has a sister. Now she has a sister that we've never heard of, that has always been close to her. And Ian says that they were in contact with her father, and she says, and he won't let anybody lift a finger to help her. Eve catches Karen with the needle. Victor's machine can detect when Cookie's name was carved. I'm like, what kind of machine is this? I never even had real. He says about 28 to 30 years ago. So Frank says it would have been around 1973, and Victor confirms that.
mm-hmm.
Cookie makes a phone call to someone saying she's been talking to someone that knows things before they even happen, and that he says he's in 2001 and asks the man to come over. He says he will, but he's kind of like brushing her off, like he's not.
Yeah, it's fish stick night. Who I think it might be?
Who?
I think it might be Scott, but I was trying to really hear the voice.
I very, very briefly thought Scott.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it could be Scott. Because like remember she said hi Scott, I said hi. And then I was trying to kind of match the voice with that voice.
Okay.
But
I thought Scott, but because Cookie's a teenager, I'm like, Scott would have been a teenager and it sounded like a man. But you're right, it could have just been Ken doing the voice.
Ken doing like a voice, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder if we'll ever get an answer to that. Karen tells Eve she's trying to draw her blood to see if she can be a match for Ariana. So all of a sudden Karen's very invested in Ariana.
Yeah. I don't know why, but yeah.
Zach and Sam show up to the shop with some of their crew, and Jamal tells them to leave.
When you just said Sam, I was thinking of Sam McCall. I was like, oh, yay. But no, it's not. It's Letter Slug.
My phone must not have wanted me to shorten it to Sam because it actually says Samantha. I don't know. Okay, Joseph. But Zach says that he's going to want to hear what he has to say. Cookie tells Frank to leave her alone. He says he didn't mean to freak her out by saying that he was in 2001. And he says he's not sure what's going on and doesn't know who to ask for help. She says she knows she tried to talk to someone too, but they kind of brushed her off. Frank asks Cookie to leave a note for him at Kelly's behind a loose brick in the next hour, but her dad comes home. So she has to like rush off the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Good idea, but just because the brick is loose in 2001 doesn't mean it was loose in 1973. It could have been like sealed.
Yeah.
But all right, I went with it.
I went with it too. Yeah.
But I was kind of harping on that for a minute. Zach informs Jamal that Allison took money from someone she shouldn't have, and if she can't pay it back, then they'll be in big trouble. So now we know that Zach somehow is involved with this money that Allison got.
Yep. I was 5% right.
You're 5%.
Uh,
And now Jamal knows that Allison lied to him, so that's gonna be a thing, I'm sure.
mhm.
Karen is a match for Ariana.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Moving on.
Frank checks the loose brick and there's no note. He waits around talking to himself, thinking he's crazy. And he checks it one more time before he leaves, and the note is there. And the paper looks old, like it's been there for a while.
Mhm.
And that's how the week ended.
That's it.
There was a lot of action this week. I liked it.
Oh, there was.
I don't know if it's because now we are like officially over the midpoint and we're going into the last chapter of the arc. But yeah, I like it. I like that now we know we're in different time zones or frames.
Time zones, yes. I like that. I like that a lot.
I don't know. I wonder if we're ever going to come face to face with the different decades. I mean, I know you know, so you're like.
I know somewhat. So I'm gonna keep my mouth shut a little bit.
I don't know what's going to happen with Karen and this donor thing. So basically, she's going to give her a piece of her liver because I know a liver regenerates.
I think that's what's gonna happen.
Really?
I think. I don't know. I'm not a medical expert.
I'll just play one on the podcast.
I play one on the podcast, yes. Which I get my degree from Port Charles University, and my bachelor's from Port Charles University, and my master's from Salem University Hospital.
It's lucky you got in there before that third quarter started.
Yeah, before that third quarter time, man. That was oof.
The preview was weird because like the episode clearly aired on ABC because we got the thong song. But the end didn't show the like next on Port Charles. It was like a SoapNet promo for the next week. So I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I didn't even know if this was directed by Albert Alarr, so I could get my little FaceTime thing, you know, a little like Albert Alarr.
But yeah, I'm excited because I literally know nothing. The only thing I know is that it must end with some kind of bike race because that's how Tainted Love starts.
Yeah.
That's all I know. So Zach is somehow gonna like be messing with Jamal, I guess, in the bike shop. I just remember Livy in the headset, like talking to Jamal as he was or Zach as he was racing.
I remember when something happened to Jack, so we're not going to spoil that part. But and I remember it was outside. It was like in location. It was so good. Oh man, I can't wait to get to that.
There was a quick scene. I think it was the scene where Allison asked Jack not to tell Livy about the money, where she got the money from. And they hugged, and I'm just like, "You're married." Like I don't know. Just it was like, "Oh, you guys are a real couple."
Yeah,
I was like, I wonder if that was happening here.
Like, yeah, that's what I was like, oh, I think this is where maybe we're seeing Aaron and oh my god, what's his name? Priestley.
Oh, Priestley.
Brian, I think it's Brian.
Presley. Brian Presley.
Aaron Hershey, and then it's Brian. Is Presley. It Brian Priestley?
I think it's Presley.
Presley, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Brian.
Yeah, I think it is Brian. Yeah, where Aaron and Brian fall in love. Like, I love it.
Actually before that, it was the same scene. It was just the beginning of it. Livy and Jack were like kissing, and Allison walked out. I'm like, that's awkward. If you guys would. Is that why you guys hugged? You're like reclaiming your man. Like, what's happening? But
I remember after Port Charles, like Aaron Hershey Priestley auditioned for The View, and that's I want to know what that timeline was going to be about because like she ended up being like in the last, you know, like she ended up being, it was like a on-air audition, so it was like she'll like do it for like a week or something like that. At the same time, I believe it was Elizabeth Hasselbeck. So Elizabeth Hasselbeck wound up getting it. I'm like, I would love to see that timeline where like Aaron Hershey was on The View. I probably would have watched The View.
So clearly they were looking for a blonde.
They were looking for a blonde. Well, yeah. I think she would have replaced Lisa Ling.
Oh wow.
I think, yeah, because Lisa Ling wanted to do like serious journalism, which she has. So she's done a lot from what I understand. So
it's crazy when you think about the different like eras of The View and the
Mhm.
like. I remember the Rosie era. I think it was like a year or two.
The first Rosie or the second one?
The first one.
Okay, the one with the split screen.
And now it just feels like Whoopi's been there forever.
She has been.
It's been like 10 years, right? If not longer.
Mhm.
And then
Maybe 15.
and I loved when Sherry Shepherd was on it. I always liked Sherry.
Yeah, I like her too. I watched like a movie. Well, not just watched, maybe like a year ago. I watched like a Christian version of High School Musical or Camp Rock,
Mhm.
and she was on it. Sherry Shepherd was on there.
My best friend Kyle always likes to mention her Friends episode. Do you remember her on Friends?
I didn't really watch Friends.
She was like, I don't remember who she worked with. I think she worked at Ross's job, and there was like a lunchroom like hierarchy, like who sat with who. And there was a guy that she went to like kindergarten or preschool or like elementary school with, and he wasn't sitting with her. And she was like shouting his name. She was like, I shared my lunch with you, like screaming. And he wouldn't acknowledge her. He was like,
Oh.
I was actually supposed to go to her talk show a few months ago, like 6 months ago.
Oh, the strike happened?
No, it was before the strike, so it was probably the winter. Kyle, so these talk shows pretty much are free. You just have to like put your name in a lottery. So my friend Kyle won, so we were gonna go, but we overslept and we missed the train.
Oh man!
We were like, well, it was free, so
yeah.
Did I miss anything? Is there anything you want to add before we wrap this up?
I'm trying to think because like the only thing that you missed, I mentioned it, but like the NAAA part, I don't think so. There's anything that was missed.
So Ariana's family's her father's a dick.
Yeah, definitely.
We already knew he didn't care about his daughter.
Yeah.
But, why were they having trouble getting in contact with him? Wasn't he like suing the hospital last week? Like they should have.
Right. They were having a hard time contacting him. Like, well, he did sue the hospital, so
yeah.
But I think maybe because he's like big famous person in whereverville, like he probably has like his contacts hidden for some reason. Because I know like and then this was back when I went to art college in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. You can probably narrow it down. You can probably narrow it down to anybody who's in Philadelphia. And I have mentioned where I went before. But like there was a famous teacher who went there, and I never saw this famous teacher. This teacher is a professor. This professor is actually a feminist. My sister wound up having her for a class, and it was Camille Paglia, and or Paglia, or however you pronounce her name. And I worked in the office, and like you would see her like mailbox, like for the liberal arts office, but she never came in. She always had an assistant doing like getting her mail. It was so like
hard to get.
Like, you knew she was here. You knew she was here. She knew she was a presence, but like she was just never there. You had no way of contacting this person. Like it was weird. I mean, I get it because you want to respect your privacy, because if you're a big name like that, working at a school like that, if you're working like a private school where I work, like you want to like hide your identity as much as possible, even though it's well known. If you even look her up, it does mention where she works, which kind of connects like the story. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like with Ariana's father, like
they don't really say that they're like a royal family, but they say they're like
an important family.
Family.
They're important. They're important enough.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's a feminist. that would be the twist of a lifetime.
Oh my god. On that note, Thank you for
We'll
joining
let
us for another edition of Port Charles Time in a Bottle. We'll be back pretty soon with another week's worth of episodes. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. Until next time, have a great day, night, weekend,
Bye.
whenever you're watching this. Bye.
Bye.